You know, there are these moments in history, moments so brutal, so absolutely shocking, that they literally change the course of a nation forever. And today, we're diving into one of those moments. It's about a day that started out as a celebration, but ended in a massacre. A day that lit a fire for freedom that just wouldn't go out.
Okay, so let's go back in time. The date? April 13th, 1919. We're in Amritsar, a major city in the Punjab region of what was then British India. And this day, well, it should have been all about celebration. Instead, it's about to go down in history for a reason that is so much darker.
I want you to picture this. There's this large walled garden. It's called Jallianwala Bagh, and it is packed with people, thousands of them. We're talking families with their kids, farmers who've traveled in from their villages, students, merchants, just a huge cross-section of society. And they're all there for one big reason, to celebrate Baisakhi, which is this huge spring harvest festival. The whole atmosphere is just, peaceful and festive.
But here's the thing, and this is absolutely critical. This garden, it had a fatal flaw. It was basically a giant enclosure, surrounded by high walls, with only one single narrow way to get in or out. Just one. And that one detail is about to turn this place of celebration into a death trap.
So yeah, a lot of people were there for the festival, but that's not the whole story. There was another, really powerful reason that brought this crowd together. See, this wasn't just a celebration. It was also an act of defiance.
So, what exactly were they defying? Well, to get that, we have to talk about something called the Rowlatt Act. The British had just pushed this law through, and people were furious. And for good reason. This act basically gave the government the power to arrest anyone they even suspected of being a troublemaker and lock them up for 2 years, with no trial. Just think about that. No trial. It was a complete slap in the face to basic human rights.
So, you've got this really interesting mix in the garden, right? On one side, it's this joyful, important festival, but woven into that is this very serious, very peaceful protest against this awful new law. It's this blend of celebration and defiance. And the tragic thing is, no one there had any idea at all, that their peaceful stand was about to be met with something truly horrific.
And this is where everything changes. That festival atmosphere, the peaceful protest, all of it is about to be shattered. And it's going to happen in just 10 minutes. Okay, it's 5:30 p.m. A man named Brigadier General Reginald Dyer marches into the garden with his soldiers. He doesn't say a word. No warning, no order to disperse, nothing. The first thing he does, he blocks that one narrow exit, traps everybody inside, and then he gives the order to open fire. Not into the air, directly into the thickest part of the crowd. And for the next 10 minutes, the shooting is just relentless.
1,650. Just let that number sink in for a second. That's how many rounds his soldiers fired into the crowd. They only stopped because they were literally about to run out of ammunition. That one number, it tells you everything you need to know about the intent behind this. It wasn't about dispersing a crowd, it was a massacre.
You can only imagine the pure chaos and terror that erupted. Remember that one exit? It's blocked. There is nowhere to go. People are scrambling, trying to climb the high walls, but they're just shot down. There was a well in the middle of the garden. It became a mass grave as dozens and dozens of people jumped in, just trying to escape the bullets. We have accounts of mothers using their own bodies to shield their children. I mean, it's a scene of just unimaginable horror.
And then, in the aftermath, the official story just didn't line up with reality at all. The British government officially reported a few hundred deaths. They tried to massively downplay what happened. But if you talk to the eyewitnesses, if you look at the later inquiries, they tell a completely different story. We're talking well over 1,000 people killed and thousands more injured.
Of course, a story like this, it doesn't stay quiet. The news of the massacre spread like wildfire, first across India and then around the world. And it sent these massive shockwaves through the country. It triggered this huge shift in how people were thinking. Suddenly, this wasn't just a political argument with the British anymore. This was a moral awakening.
And you can see this shift so clearly in the independence movement. Before this day, a lot of Indian leaders actually believed they could work with the British. Make reforms, get more rights, but still be part of the empire. There was this belief in British justice. Well, after Jallianwala Bagh, that belief was absolutely shattered. The goal wasn't reform anymore. Now it was about one thing: complete independence. And you see this change in the actions of some of India's most famous figures. Take Rabindranath Tagore, the celebrated poet. The British had given him a knighthood, and he gave it right back. A huge symbolic rejection. And then there's Mahatma Gandhi. He was so horrified by the brutality that he launched his very first nationwide non-cooperation movement. It was a call for millions of Indians to peacefully but firmly defy British rule.
But the response wasn't just political or symbolic. It was also deeply, deeply personal. For one young man who saw the aftermath of the massacre with his own eyes, it sparked a mission. A mission for revenge that would take him decades and send him halfway across the world. And that young man's name was Udham Singh. It's an incredible story. He witnessed the carnage at Jallianwala Bagh, and right then and there, he made a vow to get justice. Now, his target wasn't actually General Dyer, the man who gave the order. He had died of natural causes. No, Singh's target was Michael O'Dwyer. He was the lieutenant governor of Punjab, the man who publicly supported the massacre. And for 21 years, Udham Singh carried that vow with him, eventually making his way all the way to London to see it through.
And when he was finally caught and put on trial, he made his reasons crystal clear. Right before he was executed, he said, "I did it for my people." And with those words, his act of revenge became something much bigger. He became a powerful symbol of resistance, a martyr for India's freedom.
So, when you look back, what's the real legacy of that awful day in Amritsar? Well, the thing is, the bullets that were fired in Jallianwala Bagh, they didn't crush the spirit of a nation. In fact, they did the exact opposite. They ignited it. The massacre became this incredible, powerful rallying cry. It just laid bare the brutal truth of colonial rule in a way that nothing else really had before. And that shared pain, that shared anger, it brought millions of Indians together from every single walk of life. And it created this absolute, unshakable determination to win their freedom, whatever it took.
And really, the story of Jallianwala Bagh leaves us with this huge question, doesn't it? How can a single horrific moment of pain actually unite an entire nation? I think it just goes to show that sometimes the deepest wounds are what forge the strongest bonds, turning a moment of just unbearable tragedy into the very spark that lights the fire of a nation's freedom.